Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Luffy ate multiple devil fruit and trained by Shanks to master them part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Let's start this video. The island of the clouds, 2 devil fruits lie together. These 2 fruits are the Goro Goro no Mi, shaped like a blue pineapple, and the mythical's own Tori Tori no Mi Thunderbird version, shaped like a bushel of yellow grapes. A man walks near them. The man was tall and had a muscular frame, his ears were stretched out reaching the center of his chest. This man is Enel. He sees the 2 fruits and decides he is going to eat them. He starts to reach for the fruits. Because of his weight added to the cloud under the fruit loosens, and they fall down to the blue sea. Damn it, I am hungry, Enel screams. Boa Kingdom, Dawn Island, Fuchsia Village. Below the Sky Island, a boy wearing shorts and a white shirt with an anchor on it walks towards the local bar to hang with his pirate friends. He feels the need to look up into the sky and sees 2 things falling to him. He reaches his hand out and reaches to grab the falling objects. Shushi comes to me, a falling object, says Luffy, and he waits. The first item lands a few feet away from Luffy. Ah, nuts, I missed it. Well, I'll catch the next one. Luffy says to himself, but as he was talking the second item fell in his mouth and he swallowed slightly, choking on the item. After a few seconds he is able to breathe again. That was disgusting, Luffy yells. His yells attract the attention of one of the pirates. He was a big round guy, wearing a green shirt, a pair of brown pants. Atop his head he wore a bandana and had sunglasses on his face. He was snacking on a chunk of meat. Ahaha, what's wrong? Luffy eats some bad meat again. The pirate asked with a grin as he tore a piece of meat off the chunk. No, I wasn't lucky. I ate this weird looking fruit and it tasted like death. The other fruit is over there on the ground. Luffy replies. Lucky looked at the fruit Luffy was talking about and his eyes popped and he dropped his meat. Luffy, did the fruit you ate have the same swirls on it as this one? Lucky stutters out. Yeah. And it tasted disgusting. I mean worse than vegetables, Luffy replies, shaking his arms around to emphasize his point, and doing so caused him to shoot lightning at a tree and start a fire. Ah, how did that happen? Luffy shouted out in shock. He looks towards Lucky for answers, but only sees a dust trail heading to the bar. In curiosity he goes to the bar after picking up the other fruit on the ground and taking it to the bar, momentarily forgetting what happened. He reaches the bar and hears a Lucky voice yell. Luffy has eaten a devil fruit and has another one on hand. A moment of silence went through the bar before I the entire population of the bar yells. At that, Luffy walks into the bar and everyone stares at him, as if waiting for him to turn into a leprechaun. What are you staring at, and what's a devil fruit? Luffy asks innocently. The bar is in total silence till Shanks, the captain of this crew, answers him. Luffy, a devil fruit is a fruit that grants you powers depending on which one you eat. Luffy looks at Shanks for a few minutes before saying. So it's a mystery fruit, and with that everyone but Luffy and Shanks sweat drops. In a sense that is true, Luffy, Shanks replies. Yeah, that means all I need to do is learn to swim and I'll become the pirate king in no time, Luffy says in excitement. Whoosh. Shanks tries to smack Luffy, but his hand passes right through him and little static coming of Luffy's body. So he ate a Loja fruit, and it seems to be the power of lightning, thought Shanks. Luffy, anyone who eats a devil fruit becomes a hammer in the water, meaning you can't swim anymore, Shanks says to Luffy. Silence was all that is heard by the bar until Luffy was asking Shanks all kinds of questions varying from his devil fruit, other devil fruits, and joining his pirate crew. None of them noticed that people were coming into the bar until the door slams open. And a group of mountain bandits walks into the bar, the assumed leader walking with some swagger in his step and a cocky grin on his dot. Ah, so these are pirates, huh? They don't look so tough, more like idiots, right boys? The leader says. The mountain bandits behind him laugh at the insult to the pirates. Luffy was getting annoyed by them and showed a scowl on his face. The red-haired pirate crew looks on in silence to see what will happen. The assumed leader walks up to the bar and looks towards Makino. Now don't be a nervous woman. I know that I must be well known after all. He stops and reaches into his coat and pulls out a poster with his face on it. I am Higuma, a man with 8 million bounty on his head. Now just give us 20 barrels of sake and rum, and maybe we won't break the furniture and have a little fun with you. The now named Higuma looks at Makino with a, I'm sorry sir, but we are out of all alcohol, please come back in a few days and a new shipment will be in. Makino replies with a calm straight face, hoping to resolve this peacefully. Oh, then what are these chicken shits drinking, water? Higuma asked. Sake, but that is the last of it, Makino said, getting a little nervous. Hey, sorry, looks like we drank it all, but here you can have the last bottle if you like, Shanks says to Higuma. Higuma didn't like the answer, so he swung his fist at the bottle and smashing it, causing Shanks to be covered in the alcohol. Oh, now the floor is all, Shanks says. Ignoring Higuma's rant about how he is a big-time criminal. He kneels down to pick up the shards of the bottle. Haguma, seeing this, gets even more pissed off at Shanks, takes and swings his sword at the bar's counter, smashing the glasses, mugs, plates on top of it. The shards falling on top of Shanks. "Dear, if you like cleaning so much, clean that up will you," Haguma says, and he tells his gang to move out of the moment the bandits leave, and the pirates start laughing at their captain. "What was that, Captain? You should see your face right now, Captain." "Shut up," Luffy yells out at the crew, and the bar goes silent. Luffy turns to look at Shanks and says, "What was that, Shanks? Why did you let that guy get away with what he did to you?" "Calm down, Luffy, it was only some alcohol, no one got hurt," Shanks replies. "Who cares about that, he disrespected you. You should want to kill the guy." Luffy shot back. Luffy was angry that the man he looked up to was disrespected in such a way. Even more so that Shanks did nothing to stop the man. "I don't sweat the small stuff, neither should you," Shanks says. He smiles at Luffy, his smile turned into a face of pain as Luffy throws a punch at Shanks and hits him in the place where the sun doesn't shine. The pirate crew laugh at their captain and also reach to their manhoods to protect them. "I hate you, Shanks." Luffy yells out as he runs out of the bar. Flashback end. After that, Luffy didn't go back to the bar until they left the island to hunt. The other devil fruit he found hidden safely in his secret spot. He has been waiting at the bar for them to apologize to Shanks. He was still mad at Shanks for what he did, or more specifically what he didn't do, but he did go overboard punching him and will apologize. "Luffy-kun, what are you thinking of?" Makino said, looking at Luffy with a big smile. "I am thinking of what happened 2 weeks ago." Luffy said solemnly. "Well, do you want some meat to snack on?" Makino asked and watched as Luffy's eyes lit up. It was the only thing Luffy said as saliva started to drip down his chin. Makino placed a piece of meat in front of Luffy and he started to tear into it like a hungry wolf. Slam. Luffy and Makino too to see what made that sound and saw that it was the bandits from before, with Haguma still having that look of cockiness on his face. "Oh, those weak pirates are not here today, so do you have steak today?" Haguma asks. "Yes sir, we have fresh stock just in from a merchant ship. How many barrels do you need to be on your way?" Makino asks Haguma in a polite and professional tone, but the look in her eye says she wants them gone. Haguma sits down at a table and says, "Then serve us, wench, we're customers." Haguma with a grin. Time skip 30 minutes with Makino. Makino ran to an old man wearing a fisherman's hat as fast as she could, panicking in her voice as she spoke. "Mayor, it's Luffy, he was kidnapped by bandits." The mayor whoops, slaps, eyes widen in fear. "Let's go and see if we can negotiate with them," Mayor says with concern in his voice. Scene change with Luffy. "Take back what you said about Shanks." Luffy looks at the bandits in anger because insulting bandits are laughing at Luffy, thinking he was some stupid brat. "Or what, you'll make us half pint?" One of the bandits says to Luffy, patting him on the head. That turned out to be a mistake, as when Luffy gets angry he can't maintain a solid form. So when the bandit touched him he was electrocuted and died before he hit the ground. The bandit saw this and were shocked, pun not intended. Luffy just thought he was knocked out. "I will say this one more time and take back what you said about Shanks," Luffy says, and unconsciously releases lightning from his body. The bandit saw this and got scared and took out their pistols and fired at Luffy. Luffy, seeing this, got scared, put his hand out to block the bullets, and released a stream of lightning hitting the bandits. The bandits screamed in pain and either fell unconscious or, for the weaker ones, died. The only one still conscious was Haguma. By this time the mayor and Makino had arrived and saw what Luffy had done to the bandits and were shocked at the fact that a 6-year-old boy could do such damage and kill. We're not the only ones to arrive on the scene. Shanks and his crew were walking through town to the bar when they saw the flashes of light coming from an area in town and were curious. When Shanks saw Luffy standing there among the unconscious and dead, he saw a ghost. Overlapping Luffy was Shanks' old captain Gold D. Rogers, or as the public knew him, Gold Rogers. He is broken from these thoughts by Makino saying something. "Luffy, don't you think killing them went too far?" Makino asks Luffy and immediately regrets it as the look on face hurts her. "You're dead?" Luffy asks, though as more of a statement. "Yes Luffy, they are, and if you will someday sail as a pirate, then you will have to get used to this. On the sea it's kill or be killed." Shanks says, now making everyone aware of him. "Really, to be a pirate I must kill people?" Luffy asks Shanks. Shanks nods his head and replies. "Yes Luffy, you will have to kill those that threaten your crew, but that doesn't mean all your enemies, only the ones you deem necessary to be killed." And with that Shanks leaves Luffy with his thoughts and walks up to Haguma and pulls out his sword and aimed it at Haguma's neck. Haguma spoke. "No. Please don't, I beg of you. I'm sorry for what I did 2 weeks ago. I'll leave and never bother anyone again, I promise, but please let me live." Swipe, thud, Haguma's head was chopped clean off by Shanks' blade. "I know now you will never do harm to another innocent again, I just made sure of it." Shanks says coldly. Gone was the silly, dumb man, and stood the feared red-haired Shanks, one of the four. "Captain Shanks, where are you?" A voice called behind. Everyone turns to see two young girls. The first one was around the age of 9 years old, with long black hair and green eyes, wearing a white dress and a cowboy hat on her head. You could tell instantly that in a few years when she hits her teens, she will be a beauty beyond compare. Anyone guess who yet? The second girl was the same age as Luffy. She had shoulder-length sandy blonde hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a red short-sleeved shirt and a blue skirt that went down to her knees. Makino, upon seeing the two girls, ran towards them and took them into a hug. "Who are these adorable girls, Shanks?" Makino asks, not noticing that neither were enjoying being held by her. Shanks, seeing this, just laughed at the two of them and responded, "We found them about 4 days ago. The blonde is Leona and the brunette is Alvida. They were lost at sea with Leona keeping both of them afloat since Alvida can't swim." This piqued everyone's interest since it is rare to not know how to swim at Alvida's age. "Why's that?" Makino asked. "Alvida has eaten a devil fruit so she can't," Shanks says. This got a nod of understanding from the adults and a look of shock and interest from Luffy. Instantly he was next to the two girls with a huge smile on his face. "Really? What devil fruit did you eat?" "I ate a fruit that makes me a lightning man," Luffy said, getting a look of shock from Alvida and a curious look from Leona. "I ate the smooth fruit. I'm a slip woman," Alvida said. As the kids were talking about their devil fruit powers, the adults were speaking as well. "Why didn't you take them back to their home island, Shanks?" Makino asked Shanks. "They are orphans. I figured there aren't that many children in this village Luffy's age they could be friends, and it looks like I was right," Shanks said with a smile, staring at the three children who started playing tag. Makino, hearing this, grows sad and comes to a decision. She walks up to the children and kneels before the two girls. "Alvida, Leona, I hear that you are orphans," Makino says to them. The girls become depressed at this, and Makino continues. "So I would like to adopt you too, that is if you want me to." The girls look at Makino with shock on their faces. They have tears in their eyes and jump towards Makino and hug her, hoping this wasn't a dream. Both of them say yes over and over, and Makino just continues to hold them with a smile. Time skip 3 days later. Luffy, Leona and Alvida were at the town's port standing in front of the Red Force and Shanks. Luffy had tears coming down his eyes at seeing his friend and role model leaving. The girls were handling it easier than Luffy, but had tears leaking from their eyes. "Hey Luffy, I thought you weren't a kid, why are you crying?" Shanks says in a teasing tone. This angered Luffy. "Shut up, I will be a stronger and more famous pirate than you will ever be. I will be the king of the pirates." Luffy yells. Luffy sees Shanks smile, takes his hat off his head and puts it on Luffy's head and says, "When you reach the top, give that back to me in good condition." "Alright Luffy," Shanks says to Luffy and walks up the gangplank with a smile on his face, thinking, "The next generation will be interesting, that's for sure," and with that thought in mind the red-haired pirate sailed away back to the Grand Line. Near the docks of the village stood a big crowd. This crowd had gathered to see our favorite Lightning Boy, now Lightning Man, and the two daughters of the local pub. Luffy had grown into a fine young man over the years, now being 17. Luffy was tall, standing at about 5'11", almost 6 tall. Luffy was also very muscular, not the size of a bodybuilder, but not a swimmer's body either. Picture Luffy with a style build. His black hair that was short in his youth was now about shoulders length. Luffy wore a black muscle shirt with a red unbuttoned cardigan over it. He wore black pants, tied around his waist a katana, its scabbard pure black with only a blue line going down the middle. The only thing visible is the handguard, its shape done in the circle, with it being hollowed out to form a 3-tomo. On the other side is a flintlock pistol. On his feet he wore sandals. It wouldn't be Luffy without the sandals and hat. To complete the outfit on top of Luffy's head, there was the straw hat given to him by his mentor and friend Shanks. Alvida grew into a beautiful woman, now being 21, standing at 5'8". She wore only tight pink jeans that hugged her frame with a sash around her waist, a top that was a size too small to accentuate her double D size, and a purple captain's coat cannon outfit. On her back she carried around a giant mace. Leona was the shortest of the three, standing at 5'6". She wore a white tank top that showed off her figure with a large C. Over the tank top she wore a black blouse unbuttoned. She wore a black miniskirt that stopped about mid-thigh, and for shoes she wore gladiator sandals. On her waist there were 2 pistols and on her back was a rifle. She and will act as long-range support for the crew for the first part until I add more crew. "Well, the boat is all prepared and ready to set sail, you guys," a local fisherman said. The boat in question was a large fishing boat able to carry 8 people on it with sleeping quarters. Makino came forward with tears in her eyes and hugged her 2 daughters like the devil was trying to take them from her. The girls just smile and hug their adoptive mother tightly. Eventually Makino lets go of the girls and moves towards Luffy, a stern gaze no on her face as she looks at him. "Now listen here Luffy-kun, you promise me you will keep my daughters safe, okay?" Makino says to him. Luffy just stares at her before smiling at her. "Don't worry so much Makino, I would never let anything hurt those girls." "They are my precious," Luffy says and smiles a big bright smile, causing the girls in question to blush, though it went unnoticed by Luffy. Almost everyone else saw it and was not surprised. It was a well-known secret around the village that Alvida and Leona had a crush on Luffy. It was an even bigger known secret that there was pool on when Luffy realizes it and who he asks out and when. Makino hears the smile and gives Luffy a hug. After a minute she lets him go. She thinks of watching the little boy who used to scream at the top of his lungs that he is going to be the Pirate King turn into the handsome young man he is today. Of course he was still Luffy, wild and untamable and at times childlike, but that was what makes him Luffy. "Alright you three, you should have enough food, water and alcohol to last you a week and a half, even with Luffy-kun's stomach," Makino says to them, and at the comment on Luffy's appetite, everyone laughs. "Luffy? What are you doing? Becoming a pirate will bring great shame to our island." The old mayor whoop slap says. Luffy just ignores him and continues to stare at the sea in excitement and wonder. He places his hand on top of his hat and thinks, "Shanks, it's time I come to your world." "Hey Luffy, let's go, the world needs to see my beauty," Alvida says, a smirk on her face as she poses. Everyone laughs at this use of her antics. Luffy smiles at her. "Alright, I just have to go collect the stuff I have in my secret spot and be back in a few," Luffy says, and with that he disappears in a bolt of lightning. Outside the town, forest. In the forest near the town there was a dead hollow-out tree that Luffy used to store important items, one such item being the other devil fruit that fell from the sky and changed his life forever. He bought a chest to hold it. The other items were listed as a book of devil fruit descriptions and abilities, a suitcase holding about 5 million in it, a picture of a young Luffy, Alvida and Leona with two boys about the same age as Alvida, all smiling. The last item was a katana. The scabbard was a crimson red color, like it was dyed in blood. On the scabbard were black flower petals. This blade was Shodai Katetsu, the cursed blade. Luffy was the only one that could use the blade without being killed. After securing the Katetsu to his waist with his other katana and disappears in a flash of lightning. Town docks. Luffy reappears on the dock with the items in hand and places the devil fruit chest in the boat in the sleeping quarters. He walks out and smiles at the people on the docks. "Alright, crew, time to set sail, ready for an adventure?" Luffy asks. "Yeah." Both girls cheer. They board the small vessel and start to sail off into the sea. Makino goes over to the mayor, who is still grumbling about the reputation of the village. "Oh come now mayor, you can't be surprised, Pirate King is his dream," Makino says. The mayor just sighs and gets this serious look on his face. "His dream or his destiny," the mayor replies cryptically. "Eyes, look out behind you," one of the villagers shouted to them. Makino and the mayor turned to see what he was yelling about and saw the most feared creature around the island, the Lord of the Coast. A giant sea king in the shape of a sea serpent. At seeing this the villagers freaked out. On the boat, Luffy turns to see the beast before him and just smiles at it. Alvida and Leona just stay calm, not even worried about the beast. "Shh, you will make a good warm-up for what is to come our way on the seas," Luffy says as he takes the pistol from his waist and in his other hand forms a small concentrated orb of lightning about the size of a musket ball and inserts it into the pistol and pulls the hammer back. Luffy points the pistol at the Sea King and pulls the trigger, which shocks almost everyone. The large blast of lightning fires from the gun, disintegrating the Lord of the Coast into dust. Luffy took the pistol and put it back on his waist as the boat continued to sail away from the island. Time skipped 3 hours later. Luffy and his crew of 2 were sitting on deck relaxing, Luffy taking a nap near the edge of the boat. Alvida was tanning and Leona was doing maintenance on her weapons. Leona, hearing the sound of water churning at a fast rate, looks up and at the sea and sees a giant whirlpool near them and they are being pulled into. "Luffy, there's a whirlpool and we seem to be pulled into it," Leona says to her captain. Hearing Luffy drowsily sits up and points his hand towards the whirlpool and fires off a blast of lightning from his hands to push the boat away from the whirlpool. Unfortunately, because of Luffy's sleepiness, when the boat shook from the push, he and a barrel of food fell off the boat. Luffy quickly jumps into the barrel and yells at the top of his lungs. "I'll be alright, just search the area around to find me, girls." The girls shout back their confirmation, knowing that it takes more than a whirlpool to kill Luffy. And with that, the whirlpool, the barrel under the water. Time skipped 30 minutes. On the other side of the whirlpool was a cruise ship full of the wealthy men and women of East Blue and a certain orange-haired beauty. On the deck, 2 crewmen saw a barrel in the ocean and decided to bring it to board, thinking of it as booze. When they get it on deck, they were going to open it to have a taste, but they're stopped as cannon fire went off. They look and see a pirate ship with the Jolly Roger being a shield in front of Crossbones. "Oh crap, it's Steel Shield Jack," one of the crewmates said. He steps back and hits the barrel, knocking it over, and it rolls down the stairs into the pantry. 5 minutes later, the boy about the age of 14 entered the pantry looking for a place to hide from the fighting. "Hello? Anyone in here?" the young boy calls out. Seeing nothing but food stock and the big barrel in the room, he relaxes. He moves towards the barrel and looks at it. Wow, this barrel is really big and must be full of something. I'll take it back to the ship, maybe get on the captain's good side. And with that idea in mind, the boy starts to push the barrel back up the stairs to get it off of the cruise ship and onto the pirate ship. As he was pushing, 3 pirates came into the room and saw the boy and smirks. Well, what do we have here? You trying to get out of the fighting like the weakling you are, huh? One of the pirates said, and the other 2 laugh at that like it is the funniest joke in the world. No, I found this heavy barrel and was trying to get it to the ship, the now named Kobe says. Hearing this, the 3 pirates get an idea on what's in the barrel. It is probably booze, good cause I'm thirsty, the pirate says as he props the barrel up. Kobe hearing this starts to panic. You can't, if Captain Jack finds out we will all be in big trouble, Kobe says to the 3. Well, he better not find out or else, the pirate says in a threatening manner. He raises his fist to bust off the top of the barrel to gain access to the content. Before he could do that, the barrel burst open and out came Luffy. In addition, Luffy hit the man in the face, knocking him out. Hhh, what a great nap. Luffy then noticed where he was and saw the man on the floor. You know the floor is not the best place to take a nap, right? Luffy asks, unaware of what he did. You did that, idiot, the other 2 pirates yelled. Luffy just ignored the 2 men and turned to Kobe asking him if he had food. The 2 pirates did not like being ignored by the man in front of them, reaching for their swords with the aim of beheading Luffy. Luffy, without looking, punched the 2 men into the wall, causing them to get stuck in the wall. I'm Skip, the rest of the interactions with Kobe are going to be like the canon, and I don't feel like typing it. After their conversation, Luffy starts to head onto the deck to see if he could find Alvida and Leona around the area. Kobe was following him, telling him it's not safe to go out there. When he gets on deck, he sees a tall man standing 7 tall with a giant shield on his back holding a fruit, and Luffy's eyes popped as he recognized it as a devil fruit. The fruit was about the size of a cantaloupe, was purple in color, and had a swirl-like skin pattern. Could it be what I think that is, Luffy thought. Not willing to take it up to chance, he starts to approach the human giant at a slow pace. As he approaches, he hears that the giant is saying, "What kind of fruit is this? I have never seen one like this before. Is it even edible?" The pirate Captain Jack said. "It's a devil fruit, one of the rarest and greatest treasures on the sea," Luffy spoke, gaining the attention of everyone on the deck. Everyone was shocked that he got so close without anyone noticing. "Really, I've never seen one before, thought they were myths," Jack said, and then realizes he does not recognize who this person is. "Who are you, boy? I don't recognize you from my crew, and you are obviously not from the cruise the way you are dressed," Jack asks. Luffy just smiles, and before anyone can blink, Jack was sent flying, and Luffy was standing where Jack was originally, holding the devil fruit in his right hand while his left was out straight in a fist. "My name is Monkey D. Luffy, and I am a pirate," Luffy said to all the people on deck. "Luffy, what have you done?" "He is going to kill you," Kobe said in a panicked voice. Jack, hearing Kobe call Luffy by his name, glares at the boy in anger. "Kobe, did you hire this man to kill me?" Jack says in a furious tone. And then, No, I didn't, Captain Jack, I would never do that." Kobe replies back, trying to make sure that his anger was not focused on him. "What are you talking about? Didn't you say you wanted to become a Marine someday and arrest Jack?" Luffy says, not really thinking about it. Hearing this, Jack becomes even more angry. "Oh really, good luck doing that when you are dead. If you wanted me dead, you should have hired the pirate hunter." Jack yells as he takes the shield off his back and throws it at Kobe. Kobe was paralyzed in his tracks and incapable of moving. As it grew closer, Kobe saw his life flash before his eyes. Whoosh, crash. Kobe opened his eyes to see he was still alive and was standing next to Luffy. He was shocked at how he was still alive. "Boy Jack, next time you try to kill a friend of mine, I will fry you," Luffy said with a glare that would scare the sea devil himself. Unfortunately for Jack, he is dumber than a rock. "Oh yeah, Pipsqueak, well, bring me all your female friends and I'll show them what a man is," Jack said, in a lecherous grin on his face. This pissed off Luffy even more. Luffy was so pissed that sparks started to fly off him erratically. "Kobe, stays away, this is about to get deadly," Luffy said, and starts walking towards Jack. He continues even though he sees the crew of Jack start to surround him and charge him with their weapons. He just continues to walk. As they were right on top of him, Luffy swung his arm out in a horizontal arc. "Shockwave," Luffy calls out. A stream of lightning surrounds him, electrocuting the crew and knocking them unconscious, and continuing to walk towards Jack. "What the hell are you?" Jack asked in a scared tone after watching almost his whole crew beaten by a single man. "I am a devil fruit user. I ate the Loja type devil fruit, the rumble fruit. I am a lightning man and now your executioner. I told you I would fry you if you threatened a friend of mine again, and I always stay true to my word," Luffy says, the tone so icy and cold it froze everyone in place. No, please, I take it back. I swear to never harm another living soul again, just please let me live." Jack begged for his life. I don't think so, you see I am a laid-back person and don't enjoy killing, but you threatened me with that comment, and now I will use you as an example of what happens when you threaten my friends like that. Luffy says and raises his hand up into the air. He fires a large bolt of lightning into atmosphere. God's judgment, Luffy calls out. The sky turns dark and gigantic lightning bolt strikes down and hits Jack. A flash of light blinds everyone except Luffy. Jack lets out a scream of pain when this attack's light fades, showing Jack's burnt body. Jack's body falls to the ground lifeless. Boy Luffy, what's with the spark show going on? A voice shouts from the side of the boat. When Luffy looks over toward where the voice came from, he sees Leona and Alvida sitting on the edge of the boat with a bored look on their faces. Nothing, just erasing garbage from the world, Luffy responds coolly. For you to call someone trash, they must have pissed you off real good, Leona says, as if she was talking about the weather. Yeah, he threatened you unknowingly and for that his judgment was death, Luffy responds. This causes the girls to blush lightly. He's always thinking of us, both girls think with a smile on their face. The girls were brought out of their musings by the sound of cannon fire going off and a cannonball hitting the pirate ship next to the cruise ship. Looking to see who is firing, they see a marine battleship on the starboard side. Shit, it's the marines. Let's get out of here guys, Luffy says as he picks Kobe up in his free hand and carries him to the side of the ship while his other hand carries the devil fruit. Why are we running the marines? Kobe asks Luffy with confusion in his voice. Simple. I'm a pirate, remember, Luffy says and jumps down onto the fishing boat they were using and said. Set sail crew, Luffy says. And his response was a quick yeah before they took off. Time skip hour later. After the area and getting away from the marines, the crew of the small fishing boat sat down to relax. It also gave Alvida a chance to ask a question that was on her mind. Boy Luffy, what is up with the devil fruit in your hand? Oh, this was apparently on the cruise ship, and when I saw it, I thought I recognized from the devil fruit archive I have, and if it is what I think it is, I will not risk it falling into enemy hands, Luffy says seriously. Really, is it some super strong devil fruit? Leona asks him, and Luffy chuckles, finding it funny. In a sense it is. This is the gum fruit. Whoever eats it turns into a rubber person, and in the hands of one of our enemies, it could beat me, Luffy says, getting a shocked look from the two girls. Both girls ask simultaneously and Luffy chuckles again, finding them cute, speaking unison. Because rubber isn't affected by lightning. And with that the girls understand. So Kobe asks where the closest marine base. Cuffy asks. Kobe stops to think for a moment. There's one in Shell's Town on an island not far from here, Kobe says. Alright, Alvida, set sail for Shell Town, Luffy commands with a smile. Aye, Captain, Alvida says and takes out a map of the East Blue and changes the ship's direction for Shell's Town. The gang were off the coast of the Shell's Town and they were all preparing to dock in the harbor. Luffy was making the chest holding the Tori fruit and the now gum fruit were locked and couldn't be gotten into by anyone but him. Alvida was putting on her pants as she just finished sunbathing. Kobe was at the bow of the fishing boat looking at the town and more importantly the marine base there. The only one not up was Leona, who was taking a nap not too far away from her sister. Alvida moves to wake her and she hears what her little sister was in her sleep. Luffy? Not there, don't there, Alvida, hearing what her sister is, blushes at what she heard and then smirks at how her sister was. Leona, time to get up, my dear little sister, Alvida says as she shakes her little sister awake. After a minute, Leona wakes up with an annoyed groan. Sis, why did you have to wake me up? I was having an amazing dream, Leona says with a light blush on her face. Yeah, I heard where he was in you to make you in your sleep like a cat in heat, Alvida teases Leona, causing her to blush even more. You will never mention what you just heard, or I will drown you, Leona threatens. This causes Alvida to start laughing. What are you laughing at, Alvida, and are you okay, Leona? You are really red, don't get sick of us as we haven't found a doctor that I like yet, Luffy says as he comes out of the sleeping quarters. The girls jump at him coming out just as they ended their conversation and worried he heard it. We're fine, Luffy, just having a girl talk, the minute Alvida said that. Luffy turned and left, not wanting to be brought in the middle of that. Works every time, mention girls talk and a guy goes running, Alvida said. She and Leona laughed. Time skip. 1 hour. So anything we should know about this place? Luffy asked as they walked down the street, not really noticing the attention they were getting. Alvida and Leona were attracting the attention of almost every guy in the vicinity. The same could be said about Luffy as he was causing many of the young women to swoon over his looks and muscular body, with his outfit showing everything. Unlike Luffy, the girls notice the looks and glare at the women and resist putting a bullet in them or bludgeoning them. Screw of you hussies, Luffy's mine, the girls thought in unison. Well, the marine base has recently caught Zoro, the pirate hunter said as he spoke. The townspeople jumped away in fear at the name Zoro. The group were shocked by this reaction, except for Luffy, who just laughed at the town's reaction to Zoro's name. This town sure is weird. Anything else we should know about the town? Alvida asked, still a little annoyed by the women. It is run by a marine captain named Morgan Kobe. Like when they heard the name Zoro, the townspeople tried to climb up the wall surrounding them. Like with Zoro, Luffy broke out laughing at what they did. Alvida was confused while Leona started laughing with Luffy. The person with the biggest reaction to the townspeople was as he was in disbelief that the town was scared of the marine captain. But the town's reactions in the back of their mind, the group of four head towards the marine base. The base was surrounded by an 8-foot-high wall. A wall that Luffy climbed on and looked over. Luffy? What are you doing? You can't be on top of that wall. The girls just followed their captain's lead and sat on the wall. I want to see this Zoro guy, so I'm looking for him, Luffy says. Luffy is a dangerous criminal, they wouldn't have him outside, Kobe says. Luffy just turns and says, then who is that on the cross? Kobe was up there with a crew of 3 and saw a man tied to a cross. The man was a tall muscular man who was wearing a white shirt, black pants, black boots and the two things that drew attention to him. A black bandana and a green haramaki. The aura that oozed about the man screamed him being a killer. Kobe sees the man, see the distinguishing marks about him, and knows who it is. The bandana and the blood Luffy radiating off him, that is pirate hunter Zoro, Kobe says with fear as his body shakes from the sight of the infamous pirate hunter. Luffy and the girls just look at him with interest, Luffy more than the girls. Those ropes look easy to break out of. I wonder why he hasn't told Luffy to no one in general. Suddenly a ladder propped up on the wall that the pirates were sitting on, and a little girl carrying rice balls hopped over the fence and went towards Zoro. Zoro, I'm back, and look, I brought rice balls. The little girl says, holding up the rice balls for Zoro. Luffy, you have to get her away from him, she'll be killed, and Kobe starts to panic. Luffy just stared in curiosity at what would happen. Get out of here, kid, Zoro says coldly to the little girl. The little girl either didn't notice the tone or ignored it. But the rice balls are really good, mama let me make them by myself. The little girl continued to pester me. I said get out of here, Zoro yelled, trying to scare the girl off. It almost worked as the girl got teary-eyed and was holding back crying. My Zoro, don't be such a bully, it's not nice. A shrilly male voice called out. The group of pirates look over and see a tall, lanky blonde-haired man in a purple suit with 2 marines. Oh good, the marines are there to protect the girl, and let out a sigh of relief. The rice balls, don't mind if I do, the man says and takes a rice ball from the girl. Ignoring her protests, the man takes a bite of it. The second he takes a bite, he spits it out. Are you dumb, girl? You make rice balls with salt, not sugar. Salt, the man yells in anger. But I thought it would taste better if it was sweet, the little girl said. The man throws the other rice ball out of the little girl's hand and smashes it under his foot. The girl cries at seeing her hard work go to waste. I'm bored, you throw the girl over the fence, the man says. Hearing the order, the people around the area are shocked. But Helmeppo-sama is just a little girl, the marine grunt protests. Did you just question my orders? My orders are to be taken as seriously as my father's orders, you hear me? I could have you executed if I wanted, do you want to say that in an arrogant tone? The marine grunt says no sir and grabs the girl. And whispers something to her before throwing her over the wall. The group sees the girl curl into a ball in the air. Luffy catches the girl and sets her down gently. He hops back onto the wall to see Helmeppo walk away from Zoro. Deciding now would be the best time to speak with Zoro. He moves at a speed that only Zoro sees and pops in front of him. Oi, you're fast. Here to fight me? Those are some nice swords, Zoro asks and looks at the on Luffy waist. Luffy doesn't respond, only looks Zoro in the eye, as if comparing him to something only he knows. Well, I am busy here, so scram, Zoro says again. Why haven't you busted out of those ropes? Luffy finally asks him. Zoro looks at him with curiosity. What do you mean, Zoro asks him. Those ropes should be easy to break, so why haven't you done so up till now? Luffy clarifies. I am going to stay here for a month and agree to our deal, and then I am going after a certain man in my dream, Zoro says. Luffy hearing this smiles his big goofy smile and thinks he is interesting. And what is your dream, pirate hunter Zoro? Luffy says, thinking of this as a final test. My dream is to be the world's strongest swordsman, Zoro says. Luffy hearing this comes to a decision. A decision he won't take no for. You are going to become a part of my pirate crew and be my swordsman, Luffy declares. I refuse. Why would I become a filthy pirate? I have 1 more week left and I am going to survive it. Zoro says. You'll join my crew, Zoro, I guarantee it, Luffy says as he starts to walk away. Wait, oh, change your mind, Luffy asks Zoro. No. That rice ball on the ground gives it to me, Zoro says. Really, it is probably mostly mud by now, Luffy replies. Just give it to me. Alright, Luffy reaches down and picks up what was the other rice ball and puts it near Zoro's mouth. Zoro started eating it out of Luffy's hand, not stopping until he ate every grain of it. Tell her it was delicious, Zoro pants out. Scene change, a diner. Really, he ate all of it, the little girl now known as Rika asks Luffy. Yep, every grain of it, Luffy says with a smile on his face. Rika hearing this can't help but smile at it. But Kobe was in disbelief over what the Marines did. Why would he do that? He is a bad guy, right? Thought aloud. Zoro and I is not bad, it's the Morgans that are bad, little Rika says. She begins to tell them the story of how Zoro ended up on the cross because he killed the Helmeppo pet wolf. Wow, what Leona thought. Her testament was shared with everyone else at the table. Suddenly everyone in the diner got down on their knees except the crew of 3, and they turn and see it is because Helmeppo walks into the establishment. Hey, the serving woman brought me some food and some wine, and also spread the word to the town I am going to execute Zoro tomorrow because I am bored, Helmeppo says with a girly laugh. What about the deal he made with you to survive the month? Alvida asks him. Helmeppo looks at Alvida and starts to stare at her. Oh, he is an idiot for believing that. But if you care so much, maybe we can come to an agreement. Alvida feels a chill understanding what he was insinuating. Unfortunately so did Luffy and did not take too kindly to it. Boy, don't be talking about Alvida that way you ugly creep, Luffy says. He walks up to and punches him. Helmeppo goes flying out the restaurant courtesy of the wall he made. The Marines acting as bodyguards were unsure what to do. On one hand, by relation to his father, Helmeppo is their superior. On the other hand, Helmeppo deserved it because he hit it on what they assumed to be the man's girlfriend. You hit? Not even my father has hit me. Helmeppo said his face was swelling like a watermelon from the punch. Guards, kill him. Helmeppo yelled as the guards moved towards Luffy intent on following their orders. Luffy just stood there until they were right on top of him, then he just s his body and sends them flying. Helmeppo was now scared as Luffy turned to stare at him. You know I expected you to run away after I punched you, but you did something dumb, Luffy said as he reached for his belt. Helmeppo sees he starts to panic and runs away leaving his 2 guards behind. A moment or two passed before the silence was broken by the laughter of Leona. Luffy joined Leona, filling the diner with laughter. Huff, did you see his face? Hahaha, Leona said. Laughing hard before continuing. He was so scared when you started reaching for your sword, Luffy. Leona said to Luffy. I know he thinks I would feed his blood to Dot. He is way too arrogant, Luffy said as he took his hand off of the dot. So Luffy, what are you going to do? Alvida asks Luffy. Luffy turns to look at her and smiles his genuine smile. I am going to do what I was already going to do, have Zoro join my crew, Luffy said with a fist pump. The girls smile at Luffy and are ready to follow him to battle. Kobe on the other hand was conflicted. On one hand he wanted to help his new, on the other hand, it could ruin his chances in the Marines, and that was his dream. Kobe stays here, we don't want you to get involved, Luffy says to Kobe as he and the girls walk away from the diner, ready to save the life of their future crewmate. Scene change. Luffy and the girls arrive at the Marine base, and Luffy and Alvida hop over the wall, while Leona hop into a tree with a branch that reaches higher than the wall, and get a rifle in place. Luffy and Alvida walk towards Zoro intent on twisting his arm to join his crew. Zoro sees the 2 of them growls out in frustration. What are you 2 doing here? I said I was not joining your crew, I am not going to become a criminal. Zoro growls at the 2, Luffy didn't blink as he was about to cut the ropes. I only have a week left before I am a free man. Zoro complains trying to kick Luffy away. No, you only have 24 hours before you are executed, Luffy says blankly before continuing. That girly man announced to the whole town that at noon tomorrow you will be executed because he is bored. Zoro hearing this and became infuriated. That lying piece of shit, when I get my hands on him I am going cut his and balls off and shove them up far, he will have them coming out his mouth. Zoro rambles and Luffy steps back instantly. I need my swords. That lying bastard took them, can you go find them for me? Zoro asks the 2 of them. Luffy was about to agree before an idea struck him and he grins a mischievous grin. No, I will find your sword, but I am going to keep them until you agree to join my crew, Luffy said, looking completely innocent. What, you are going to blackmail me? That's unfair, Zoro shouts with shark teeth. That's right people, shark teeth make the appearance and will used regularly by Zoro and Nami. Yep, remember we're pirates, we don't care about honor and all that as long as we have an adventure, Luffy says laughing. Alvida laughs as well but behind her. Fine, you find my swords and I might join your crew, but before that tell me what is your dream? Zoro asks looking at Luffy seriously. Are you stupid? Of course my dream is to be Pirate King, Luffy says as if he is stating the obvious. Zoro, hearing this smirks at the answer, is almost willing to accept Luffy as his captain. Alright, let's find the girly man and find out where he took your swords, Luffy says. He and Alvida take off running towards the Marine base, forgetting to untie Zoro. Zoro screams for them to come back, but they ignore him. Alvida looks like there is activity on the roof. I will head up there and see if a girly man is there. You sneak into the base from the entrance and see what Luffy says and then disappear in a flash of lightning. Alvida just rolls her eyes at this, expecting it from Luffy. She takes off running into the Marine base. Top of Marine base. At the top of the Marine base you will find about 40 Marines holding ropes attached to a large statue of a man. Said man was standing off to the side staring at the men, making sure they did not damage it. This man was a big guy standing at 7'3". He had a metal jaw and an axe hand. His attire was a Marine captain coat to dignify his rank, a blue camo designed shirt, Marine regulation pants and steel-toed boots. This man was Axe Hand Morgan. "Lieutenant, I am great, am I not?" Morgan asked his second in command. "Yes you are, sir." "The greatest Marine captain of the East Blue," the lieutenant responds. "Then why have the tributes from the town decreased?" Morgan asked. "Well, times are tough, and people don't have much money from paying the increased taxes, sir," the lieutenant answers. "No, lieutenant. It is not the money that is the issue, it is that the people do not respect me enough," Morgan says. "That is not true, Captain, everyone respects you," the lieutenant answers, trying to steer the conversation away from where it was going. "Tomorrow there will be an execution to instill respect into the people," Morgan replies. "Sir, are you sure that is why?" the lieutenant was cut off as the door to the roof was slammed open and runs in tears in his eyes. "Daddy, there is someone I want you to kill," Helmeppo yells. "Skip over, same as cannon." As Morgan was about to slap his son again for being weak, a flash of light drew everyone's attention towards the statue. Luffy appeared on the statue suddenly, and because of the extra weight added suddenly some Marines lost their grip on the ropes, causing the others to lose their grip as well. The statue hits the building and breaks up. "Sorry," Luffy says, not really feeling sorry for the statue breaking apart. "Daddy? That is the man that hit me and killed him." Helmeppo screamed. Morgan was going to do just that. Seeing his statue broken like that enraged him. "Kill him, his crime is disrespecting me," Morgan yells. The Marines hearing this reach for their pistols and are about to shoot the mysterious man before them. That was until he grabbed the son of Morgan and ran off. "What should we do, sir?" one of the Marines asked him. "Find him, you dolts," Morgan yelled. He was furious at the lack of respect. "Sir, someone is trying to free Urano Zoro," one of the Marines yelled to the captain. Morgan, hearing this, was about to have a meltdown. "Shoot him, this town is full of traitors, I should hang them all," Morgan yells as he starts to head down to the ground floor to deal with this traitor. The Marine saluted and took his rifle and shot at the young man trying to free Zoro, hitting him in the shoulder. With Luffy was running through the corridors of the Marine base, dragging with him. He pulls to his face. "Where Zoro's sword is a girly man. I'll hit you if you don't tell me right now," Luffy threatened. Helmeppo was crying like a baby. "They're in my room, we passed it a minute ago, it is the room on your left," whimpered out. Luffy hearing this became irritated and smacked Dot. "Why didn't you say it?" Luffy turns and runs back towards the said was his. Never noticing a girl wearing a tan skirt that reached the beginning of her thighs, barely covering her what was needed, and a white and blue shirt that framed her figure really well, running past him. When Luffy got to the room, Helmeppo was talking about only one thought that came to mind and out of his mouth. "If you are trying to stay in the closet, you are doing a poor job." "The girly man," Luffy said as he looked around the room, there was a word to describe it. Pink. The carpet, walls, drapes and bed sheets were all pink. In the corner there was a table set up for tea that looked like it belonged in a little girl's room. The manliest thing in the room were the racks of weapons hanging on the wall. Luffy looked at the weapons and saw some of them were very good quality. As he looked, he came to a rack that held several katanas on it. "Oh man, look at all these weapons, I'm not even sure what sword is Zoro's," Luffy mused aloud. He turned to ask which one was Zoro's, only to see he was unconscious. Luffy seeing this had an idea. "I'll take them all. All these weapons are too good for this guy anyway," and with that Luffy started to gather every weapon off the wall and put them in 3 barrels that he tied to his back and walked towards the window to jump out of. He opens the window and sees a shooting line ready to kill Zoro, and thinking quickly he jumps out of the window and lands in front of the 2. Magnetic field. Luffy raises his hand up and releases a thin pulse of lightning, creating an electromagnetic field to stop the bullets in their place. Luffy waits a moment or two before lowering the field, the bullets fired drop to the ground as harmless as pebbles. Seeing this, the Marines wondered how he did that, the sight filled them with fear. Morgan had a theory about how but didn't think it was possible. The Marines were not the only ones. Zoro was curious at how Luffy stopped the bullets and voiced his curiosity. "What are you?" Zoro asks Luffy. "I ate the rumble fruit. I am a lightning man, named Luffy," Luffy says, shocking everyone to save Kobe and Leona, who is in the tree. "I heard of devil fruits, but I thought they were myths," Morgan said. At the same time he was thinking if he could beat Luffy he would get more respect. Luffy turns to look at Zoro and then unstraps the barrels from his and shows the katanas to him. "Which one of these is yours?" Luffy asks Zoro. "The 2 with the black scabbards and the one with the pure white scabbard, I use the 3-sword style." Zoro says. Luffy nods and pulls out the 3 swords he nodded to. The Marines pull out their swords and rush towards the pirate, the bounty hunter and the future Marine. "Shit, hey, get these ropes off of me, now," Zoro says to Luffy. Luffy turns and starts to mess with the knot, trying to undo it. Unfortunately Luffy it knots. "Okay, it goes like this and then takes this." "No, that's not right, it was over, under out of the rabbit," Luffy said as he struggled to undo the knot, not really paying attention to the Marines surrounding him. Oi oi hurry, they're right on top of us, Zoro yells, getting nervous. There now for your other arm, Luffy says. Don't bother, just give me a sword, I'll handle the rest, Zoro say. The marine grunts were right on top of them. Luffy hands Zoro his sword and in a flash. Slash, cut, clang. Zoro was holding all 3 swords with his hands and mouth, blocking the 20-something marine swords with just his 3. Zoro looks to the marines around him, seeing them startled. Move even a hair and I will kill Zoro. The marines had fear instilled in them. Zoro, duck. Luffy shouts and Zoro does so. Flying sword slash Luffy took out of its sheath and swung it in a horizontal slash, sending crescent air slash at the marines. The slash hit the marines, blowing them away from Zoro. The man looked at the blade in the young pirate king's hand. The blade was pure black with a crimson hamen, it had a slight curve to it. The tsuba was silver in the shape of a curved 3-pointed shuriken. The tsuba's edges showed signs of being sharpened. Seeing the blade drawn, many people swore they saw a black and crimson aura coming off it. The cursed blade, Zoro said, feeling the blade's aura. It was bloodthirsty like a starved lion with a gazelle in front of it. But I, Zoro, this blade is cursed and will only accept me as its master. Although not to say it still likes to disobey me. Luffy said, seeing the severely injured marines on the ground. He was only trying to push them back, not cut them. Okay, well, I have resisted the marines, that makes me a criminal, so I will join your crew, but Zoro pauses and looks at Luffy with the full intent to kill him. If you get in my way of my dream of being the world's greatest swordsman, I will kill you where you stand. Luffy just grins and laughs at that. If you couldn't accomplish that much, I would be disappointed. The king's crew must have the best. Zoro hearing this smirks. Bang, the two turned to see a marine lying on the ground, a bullet in his leg. Zoro was curious where the shot came from until 2 more rang out, hitting 2 marines in the back and causing them to fall over in pain. Zoro saw where the shots came from and saw a girl the same age as Luffy jumping out of a tree holding 2 pistols. Nice shot, Leona, Luffy says. Thanks, Luffy. Leona smiles at the praise, not seeing Morgan come up behind her and bring his axe down on her. It was a hair's width away from chopping her in half if not for the giant mace slamming into him. Leona, how many times do I have to tell you, watch your back for sneak attacks, Alvida shouted at her younger sister. While this was going on, Morgan got back up and charged at the girls, planning to run them over. Until someone interfered. Three-sword style. Bullhorns, Zoro yelled, charging Morgan and knocking him out. The marines around the area were stunned. Captain Morgan was unconscious, beaten. After a while the marines cheered about Morgan being beaten. We're free, men, free. A grunt cheered. Good job, Zoro, that was awesome, Luffy said, patting Zoro on the back. Indirectly causing Zoro to fall over. Oh shit, are you okay? I didn't hit you too hard, did I? Luffy asks. Zoro didn't respond, the only sound that was heard was D-R-R-R-R-R-R-R-R-R-R, his stomach. Time skip. Hour later, diner. Phew, I am stuffed, and Zoro is sad, eating his 10th and final plate of food. Me too, Luffy said, finishing his 30th plate of food. How is it? I haven't eaten in 3 weeks and you still eat more than me. Zoro wonders about seeing his new captain eating that much. Well, now I have a first mate and 2 other, Luffy says. The group sat around chatting to the townspeople while eating. That is until the marines come into the diner. Skip the same as canon. The crew of 4 were now on their small ship with more supplies and 3 barrels of weapons, leaving the port of Shell's town. Boy guys, check that out, Zoro points back to port. They turn to see Kobe and the marines of the base are saluting them as they leave. Marines saluting pirates, now I've seen it all, Zoro jokes. In the port, the marine lieutenant informs Kobe that they know of his past and that he better work hard. Yes sir, hollers at the top of his lungs with joy. He was on his way towards his dream. The lieutenant smiles and then orders his men. Soldiers, for saluting a pirate, no food for a week, understood? Yes, sir, they chant. A week has passed since Zoro joined the crew, and to say he was interesting was an understatement. Zoro had no idea where he was going, or even where his island was. In fact, he had the sense of direction of Luffy when he was 9. It was an interesting group, that's for sure. A lightning man who loved to eat meat and sleep, a swordsman who drank too much and slept all day, a smooth woman obsessed with being the most beautiful woman in all the seas. And a girl who liked explosives and pranks. It was like it was the start of a joke with no punchline. Luffy was lying on the deck of the boat being hungry. Alvida and Leona said he couldn't eat any more until dinner. He stares into the sky and sees a big bird and has an idea. He zips himself up to the bird intending to catch it and cook it. Only to end up stuck in its beak. Help guys, I'm stuck, the dumb bird won't let me go, Luffy yelled down to the group. I had to. I love that scene, it is the last one of Luffy's stupidity. Idiot, they shouted as they grabbed the oars and started to row as fast and hard as they could to get to the bird. Help us please, we're drowning. The group heard. They look forward in front of them and see 3 men drowning in the water. We're not stopping, so you have to grab onto us. Zoro yells out to the 3. But they say but quickly grab onto the boat and pull themselves aboard the ship. They pant, trying to catch their breath and relax. After they were able to breathe, they shot up and yelled. "That was dangerous," you morons shouted at the top of their lungs with shark teeth. After the yelling, the three men pulled out knives and swords and pointed them at the three pirates. "Okay, now hand over all your valuables, we're commandeering this ship in the name of the great Captain Buggy," the lead pirate said. The group of three stared at the pirates. "Time skip. 3 minutes. We're sorry, we had no idea who you were. If we knew you were Zoro the pirate hunter we would have never tried anything," the lead pirate said, rowing the boat with his two crewmates, all with bumps on their heads. "Whatever, because of you we lost sight of our friend, so how did you end up in the sea anyway?" Zoro asks. "It was this evil witch that tricked us out of our ship and treasure," the second pirate said. Flashback, the three Buggy pirates were heading back to the island they were using as a base when they saw a dinghy floating. Curious, they go to it to see what is in it. They peer over and see a beautiful young woman lying in the boat. The woman had shoulder-length orange hair, smooth lightly tanned skin, a tight blue and white shirt that framed her perfectly, a tan miniskirt that barely reached the beginning of her thighs. "Huh. Oh hey, I need help. I am out of food and water. The only thing I have is treasure, and if you help I will give it to you," the woman pants out, fluttering her eyes. The pirates, hearing the word treasure, got excited at the prospect and quickly hopped onto the woman's boat. "Sure, we'll help you, just show us the treasure first, okay," the lead pirate says. "Sure, it is in there in the chest, take as much as you like," the woman says. The pirates, hearing this, rush into the sleeping quarter and find 3 chests of treasure. They open the first one to see it empty. Then the second and third, both were empty. "There boys, you can keep the chests and the boat and I will keep yours." "K," the woman said with her tongue sticking out, and kicked the dinghy away from her and the now stolen ship. "Crap, turn the ship around," the lead clown pirate yelled. "We can't because the rudder is busted. She must have broken it," the second clown pirate said. "And that's not all boys," the women shouted out across to them. The pirates look at her in wonder. The woman held up her fingers, counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A giant cloud formed above them and a lightning bolt struck them. Then, to add insult to injury, a giant whirlpool formed under them and the boat in. Then flashback, it was like she created the whirlpool with powers, the clown pirate said with fear in their voices. The group of 3, hearing this, thought it was a devil fruit power she had, but that didn't explain how she was able to create a thunderstorm, not to mention that the girls had never heard of a devil fruit that let you control the weather or control water. Keep this in mind as it will come up again. Zoro's only thought was that whoever this woman was, she had the ability to predict the weather. But Luffy, Orange Island, above. "Damn it, stupid bird, let me go. I will shock you and make chicken out of you," Luffy said as he struggled to get the bird to let go. Luffy, struggling, annoyed the bird to no end, decided that the man was not worth the trouble to eat and let go of Luffy. Luffy started plummeting to earth down onto a small village. "Down below, Orange Island. Get back here, you thief, just give us that map and this won't end bad for you," one of the clown pirates yelled out. The thief they were chasing was the woman from before with the other pirates. She was at a loss of breath as she continued to run. The girl turned to look back. This causes her not to see the rock in front of her and to trip and fall to the floor. The pirates, seeing this, thought that she was for them. A certain straw hat wearing captain fell out of the sky and landed in the middle of them. They all waited a moment to see what it was. When they saw a man walk out of the smoke, their reaction differed variously from the two groups. The group involving the thief was thinking how good looking the man was in a rugged way, while the clown pirate group looked at Luffy and felt insecure about their looks and muscle mass compared to him, which led to them sulking. And you would sulk too if you were standing in front of, if you don't equal up in body build. It's not fair, how does a guy look that good? The clown pirates thought. Well, that thought went through their heads. Nami had a devious idea. "Hey babe, can you take care of these bozos for me while I get the map out of here?" "Thanks," the woman said, and walks up to Luffy and then runs off somewhere, thinking why she had said that in his dot. Luffy was thinking something similar to the women. He was so deep in thought that he didn't even notice the 3 clown pirates charging him, intending to skewer the young pirate with their swords. The 3 clown pirates swung down on Luffy, trying to slice him into pieces. Clang. Without looking up, Luffy draws his second sword and blocks the clown's swords. His thoughts still on the women, and the dotty is broken from his thoughts, hearing the sound of panting and grunting. He looks and sees the men who were chasing the women trying to kill him. Well, he had out his second sword, TNSHI, son of heaven, not even being able to get past a pure white sword. "You guys should stop, cause this will not end well for you," Luffy says as if he was talking about the current weather. The clown pirates, hearing this, are infuriated at being looked down on. "Die now," the 3 shout and charge him. Luffy, seeing this, just sighed. They never learn. Luffy muttered before doing 3 quick swipes at the men with the back of dot. The men fell over, pain and consciousness. Luffy stared at them and then sighed. Why do they never learn? Luffy thoughts and sheaths dot as he walked away. A shadow took over him. He looks up and sees the woman from before sitting there on the edge of the house's roof, swinging her legs. From where Luffy was standing, he had a perfect view of what was under her skirt. Black, Luffy thought as he started blushing. The women saw this and blushed as well, thinking he thought she was beautiful. You're pretty strong, how about we team up handsomely? The woman said. Luffy is intrigued and introduces himself to the orange-haired beauty. My name is Monkey D. Luffy. What is yours? Luffy asks the woman. The woman smiles, causing Luffy to blush more. My name is Nami. And you didn't answer my question, the now named Nami reminds Luffy. Luffy was about to respond before the cause of his original incident made itself known. His stomach just let out a loud growl, and Luffy felt a little embarrassed. Nami laughed at his stomach, making him feel a little better. Come on, we can talk over food, say a little lunch date. Nami flirted, and after she was kicking herself. What am I going to do? I just met the guy and I am practically eyeing him, even if he is pretty cute with that slightly boyish yet rugged face, and that body is good on the eyes. Nami thought and started to blush from the ideas going through her head. Nami led Luffy to one of the houses in the area. When they entered, Luffy saw that it was a nice cozy little building. So this is your home, huh? It's nice, not really my style, but hey, whatever works, Luffy said as he looked around and saw it was a little messy with maps laid out all over and on the floor were her unmentionables. Luffy turned and looked away from Nami's underwear lying about. Nami, seeing what made Luffy blush, quickly moved to clean up her unmentionables and hide them away. My god, how could I be so stupid about that? He must think I'm a messy person. Nami thought to herself, too embarrassed to look at Luffy. So you wanted me and you to work together, what was it you had in mind, Nami? Luffy asks. Nami was broken from her embarrassment and began to explain what she did. I am a thief who steals from pirates, it gets dangerous, and I am not that strong, but with you I could steal from the strongest pirates in these seas. Nami said as her eyes turned into belly. How do you do that with your eyes? Luffy asked Nami. Nami turned to Luffy and looked confused. Do what? Nami asked, actually curious as to what he meant. Never mind, I only have one question on your proposition. Luffy said. Nami was curious and asked what? Will you steal from my crew? Luffy asked. Nami was confused at what he meant, and Luffy saw this and elaborated. I am a pirate and have no problem teaming up with you, but I need to know you won't steal from me and my crew. Can you do that? Luffy asked, and Nami didn't respond or do much of anything. Nami was in shock that the guy she had been thinking about teaming up with and maybe going out on a date with is a pirate. How could she not tell he was a pirate? No normal person is that strong, she should have known. Unaware of Nami's thought process, Luffy was beginning to worry about her. Luffy walks over and places a hand on Nami's shoulder. Oi, are you alright? Nami, hey Nami, can you hear me? Luffy asked. It barely took Nami a second to break from her stupor and to smack Luffy's hand away from her. Don't you touch me, you filthy pirate. If I knew you were, I would have never even made the notion of us teaming up. All pirates are the same, you aim to cause pain and destruction wherever you go, and I will not be associated with that. Nami rants, and when she looks at Luffy, he was not even paying attention to Nami, he was just doing maintenance on his straw hat. Listen when people are talking, you idiot, Nami yells at Luffy and smacks the hat out of his hand. Luffy did something she didn't expect of him. He grabbed her hand and gripped it tight, not enough to really hurt, but enough to make it uncomfortable. Don't touch my treasure ever, that is my only rule, and I expect you to respect it, you understand? Luffy said, his voice a little icy. Nami only nodded her head. After seeing Nami and Luffy became happy and cheery again. He went and picked up his hat and then sat back down and took some food. Nami just sighed and sat back down. So what is so important about that hat that you would call it your treasure? Does it have a treasure map inside it? Nami asked, and if there was, she was already planning to steal it. What she didn't expect was that Luffy laughed at the notion that there was a treasure map. No, it is my treasure because it was given to me by a pirate that showed me what being a pirate was about. You think that those that pillage villages and rape the men and women are pirates? No, they are scum. Real pirates are the ones who live their lives full of freedom. Sure, me and my crew will probably steal and attack cargo ships, but we won't kill any innocent people. The life of pirates should be full of adventure and freedom, not blood and carnage. Only the true pirates understand that. Nami was shocked over what the Straw Hat Pirate had said and was unknowingly blushing. Nami broke out of her thoughts and shook her head clear and then glared at Luffy. Yeah, right, a pirate who doesn't like to kill and destroy, I'll believe it when I see it. Nami said, but then got curious. So how many people do you have on your crew, anyway? Nami asked. I have 3 crewmates so far. There's Alvida and Leona and then Zoro, who joined our crew just a couple days ago. And with you being my navigator, I have 4 Luffy words. Well, that's nice. Are they all like, wait, who said I would join your crew? Now that I know you're a pirate, I don't want anything to do with you. Nami yelled. Luffy just smiled at Nami and replied with no form of shame. Too late, you are a part of my crew, as the captain I have spoken. Nami slammed her head on the table and sweat dropped. She was about to yell at Luffy and tell him off, but then she had a devious idea. Alright, I'll join your crew if you help me steal something from the pirates using this town as a base. Deal? Nami asks with an innocent smile on her face. It didn't fool Luffy a bit. But he was also bored, and following her along would be a source of entertainment. "Sure, we have a deal, so do you have an idea to get us in or do you want me to destroy the place they are in?" Luffy asks. Nami grins and starts to tell Luffy her plan. But Zoro, Alvida and Leona. Zoro and the girls had just arrived at the island and tied up the idiot trio of the Buggy pirates. They were anchored right next to the big top. The girls looked at it and thought one thing, but Leona couldn't keep it in her head. "Wow, with this many cannons whoever owns the ship must be compensating for something." Leona laughed at her joke. "Sister, you must learn to keep things in your head," Alvida sighed, but had a smirk on her face. "Whatever, let's just go find our idiot captain," Zoro said. The girls just smacked him for calling Luffy an idiot. "So where should we start looking for him?" "Anyway, I mean this town is not that big, but it could take us a while to find him," Zoro asks. As the girls were about to respond, they saw cannon fire come from what could only be the roof of the bar. The cannonball struck a house and then exploded and took out all the houses in front of its way and went out to sea. The group of three are shocked at the power of the cannonball. Alvida turns and looks at the two. "I guess we go in the direction of the cannonball's origin," Alvida said. The others just nod their heads and walk in the direction mentioned. With Nami and Luffy earlier, Luffy and Nami were walking towards the bar where the Buggy pirates were. Luffy was tied up with Nami holding the end of the rope. "Okay, you know the plan, right?" Luffy Nami asked. Luffy just rolled his eyes knowing that Nami was planning on leaving him with the pirates. Yeah, I know you are going to pretend that you betrayed me and joined their crew and whatnot. Then you get them drunk and you steal the map and free me, and then we take off with the pirates none the wiser." "Right," Luffy said, knowing there was one lie in that statement. She wasn't going to free him. And he was prepared for that. He was just going to phase out of the holding cell or pretend to be dead if they tried to kill him. "Good, and if you're a good boy I'll give you a," Nami said in a condescending and playful voice. Like she was talking to a dog. Luffy just stayed quiet as the guards noticed them. "Boy, that's the thief from before, what is she doing back here?" one of the grunts said. He went to stop Nami. But she stopped in front of him and gave him the map to the Grand Line. "I wish to speak with your captain, please," Nami said. Nami Luffy with Buggy. Nami had just finished explaining that she was tired of working for Luffy because he was an idiot. Buggy thought for a minute before looking over at Luffy, who was in a cage. "He does seem very stupid to me, especially with that face of his," Buggy said while rubbing his chin. The crew broke out laughing, thinking it was a joke. "If I look stupid, then you must be retarded, red nose," Luffy said, trying to piss off work. "What was that? I could kill you right now, but I want to make it nice," and a flashy Buggy started yelling at Luffy. Luffy just smiled at his handiwork. "Boss, how about the new recruit send her old boss off in a flashy way right now," a clown grunt said. "Not a bad idea, prepare the buggy ball," Buggy yelled out, and the crew started cheering like their captain announced a wedding. "What's a buggy ball?" Captain Nami asked. "It is my key to flashily conquering the Grand Line and becoming Pirate King, a custom cannonball designed flashily by my flashy self," Buggy said. Nami looks to see the men rolling out a cannon and another carrying a cannonball that was red and had Buggy's mark on it. "Let's give a small demonstration of the ultimate weapon's power," Buggy said. "Aim for that building there, we looted everything in that direction," one of the men said. The men working the cannon did so. "Aim, fire," Buggy shouted. What happened shocked Luffy and Nami. When the cannon went off they expected it to go through the building and another one. What they didn't expect was to see a giant explosion right of the gecko and for the cannonball to go all the way past the port. The Buggy pirates broke out laughing as if someone told the funniest joke in the world. "You see, that what makes you fear me is that I have this power," Buggy bragged. "No. It makes me fear you will shoot yourself up and like because of how much penetrating power it has." This infuriated Buggy to no end. "This little punk, he thinks he can tell me off like that and get away with it," Buggy thought. "Point the cannon at this little shit and load one of the big ones. I want nothing left of him," Buggy said, and then looked at Nami. "You will have the honor of blowing him up, consider it initiation." Buggy smiled cruelly at that. Nami was only repeating one sentence in her head. "Oh shit." Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. See you in the next video. Goodbye.